Most men think compliments make a woman like them. They don't. Weak compliments kill attraction faster than silence ever could. You're beautiful. You're cute. You look nice. She's heard those 1,000 times from men she forgot 5 minutes later. Women don't crave words that describe their looks. They crave words that touch their identity, their fire, their hidden self. The truth is simple. A woman remembers the man who makes her feel seen, not the man who flatters her, not the man who chases her, the man who understands the parts of her she hides from everyone else. That's why some guys barely try, yet women obsess over them. Their words hit deeper. Tonight, I'm going to give you 10 compliments that make a woman crave you. The compliments that hit her emotions, her psychology, her femininity. Not cheesy lines, not empty praise. Compliments that awaken something inside her she didn't expect. If you're ready to stop sounding like every other guy and start speaking like a man whose presence she actually feels, then stay exactly where you are. 1. You see things differently. Most men compliment a woman's beauty because it's the only thing they notice. It's easy to say she's gorgeous. It's easy to admire her smile, her hair, her figure, but every man sees that. Every man says that. And that's why those compliments barely scratch the surface. They don't touch her. They don't move her. They don't make her feel anything. But when you look at a woman, really look at her, and you say, you see things differently, the entire energy of the conversation shifts, because now you're speaking to something deeper than beauty. You're speaking to her mind. Women rarely get complimented on the way they think. They rarely hear praise for their insight, intuition, or perception. Yet those are the parts of themselves they value the most. The parts they keep guarded. The parts they share only with someone they trust. When you acknowledge her perspective, you're telling her, I see the part of you that most men overlook. And that is intoxicating to a woman. Psychologically, this compliment hits her identity center. Every woman has a quiet fear that she's ordinary, that her thoughts aren't special, that her uniqueness goes unnoticed. When you tell her she sees things differently, you're validating a part of herself she hopes is unique, but rarely gets confirmed. You're telling her she has depth. You're telling her she has insight. You're telling her she has a mind worth paying attention to. And once you touch a woman's identity, you ignite an emotional reaction she can't hide. Because women crave to be understood far more than they crave to be admired. Imagine this moment. She's explaining something, a belief, a story, a perspective she doesn't usually share. Most guys would nod, pretend to listen, then steer the conversation back to themselves. But you don't rush. You hold eye contact. You let her finish without interrupting, and then, with calm masculine certainty, you say, you see things differently. She won't forget that, because you didn't compliment her appearance. You complimented her essence, her mind, her worldview, the part of her that makes her who she is. Marcus Aurelius once said, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. A woman who feels you value her thoughts becomes dyed with the color of your presence. She becomes drawn to you, curious about you. She begins opening up in ways she doesn't with other men. Why? Because she feels emotionally safe and emotionally significant in your presence. Here's the real power. Once a woman feels mentally understood, physical attraction follows naturally, not because you forced it, but because you reached her in a place deeper than lust. Women crave the man who sees beyond the surface. Use this compliment when she shares ideas, opinions, or stories that reveal her inner world. When you reflect her uniqueness back to her, she begins craving your presence because she feels seen in a way she rarely experiences. 2. You make everything feel lighter. There's a reason this compliment hits a woman right in the center of her emotional world. Every woman, no matter how confident she looks, carries weight on her shoulders. Responsibilities, expectations, doubts, pressure she doesn't talk about. Life feels heavy for her more often than she admits. She's expected to be strong, composed, independent, productive, emotionally intelligent, socially graceful, all at once. And most men add to that weight without even realizing it. They drain her, they push, they demand, they take. So when you look her in the eyes, or read her text, or hear her voice, and you say, you make everything feel lighter, it hits her like sunlight breaking through a storm. This compliment works because it tells her she brings something valuable into the world, not through effort, not through performance, but simply through her presence. It signals that her feminine energy has an effect on you, that she brightens your mood without even trying, that she shifts your emotional state in a way most people don't. And psychologically, that is one of the deepest compliments a woman can receive. Women don't want to feel like a burden. They don't want to feel like they're too much. They don't want to feel like their emotions push men away. In fact, most women fear that their inner world is overwhelming to others. When you tell her she makes things feel lighter, you neutralize that fear instantly. You tell her she adds value, not weight, that she brings relief, not stress, that being around her calms you, inspires you, energizes you, or simply makes your world feel less chaotic. This taps directly into her nurturing psychology, the part of her that wants to make the man she desires feel grounded and at peace. Imagine this moment. She sends you a voice note laughing about something small, or she walks into the room with that soft, effortless smile, or she texts you a message that instantly changes your mood after a long day. You pause, really pause, and you say, "You make everything feel lighter." She won't forget that, because you didn't compliment her body. You didn't compliment her outfit. You complimented the impact of her presence, something most women never get acknowledged for. And that makes her feel emotionally connected to you in a way that goes far beyond attraction. She starts craving your attention not because you chased her, but because you showed her she brings something meaningful into your life. This is where Stoic philosophy enters. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts." When you tell a woman she makes life feel lighter, you're telling her she improves the quality of your thoughts, that her presence influences your mental state for the better. That's a deeper level compliment than anything about appearance. It touches her heart, her pride, and her femininity all at once. And here's the hidden power. Once she believes she brings you warmth, joy, or ease, she will naturally want to give you more of it. She'll open up, she'll soften, she'll become more nurturing toward you without even realizing why, because she feels emotionally safe and emotionally important in your presence. Use this compliment when her energy genuinely uplifts you, when she makes you smile without trying, when her presence cuts through the noise of your day. Show her she's a source of light, not heaviness, and she will gravitate toward you instinctively. 3. You have a fire most people don't notice. Every woman carries two versions of herself, the one she shows the world and the one she hides deep beneath the surface. The surface version is polite, composed, socially acceptable. The version she uses to survive, fit in, and avoid judgment. But underneath that mask is something far more powerful. Her fire, her ambition, her passion, her intensity, her untamed emotion, her rebellious spark. Most men never see that version because they never look deep enough to notice it, or they get scared when they glimpse it. But when you tell a woman you have a fire most people don't notice, you are acknowledging the strongest part of her identity, the part she protects the most. This compliment works because it recognizes something hidden. Women are constantly valued for what's visible, their looks, their smile, their behavior. But what they crave deeply and silently is for a man to notice what's invisible. The strength she doesn't brag about, the passion she doesn't show, the potential she doesn't talk about, the emotion she hides because she fears it might be too much for the world. When you call out that fire, you tell her she's not too much. She's too powerful to be ordinary. Psychologically, this taps into a profound feminine instinct, the desire to be understood beyond the surface. A woman's fire is often misunderstood as moodiness, as drama, as intensity, as chaos. But the right man sees it for what it truly is, the raw, unfiltered core of her femininity. When you say she has a fire most people don't notice, you're telling her you see the parts of her she hides, and that hits deeper than any physical compliment ever could. Imagine this moment. She's talking about something that clearly matters to her. A dream, a memory, a frustration, a belief. You can feel her passion rising, the spark in her eyes, the shift in her voice. Most men would get intimidated, joke about it, or change the subject. But you don't. You look at her and say, "You have a fire most people don't notice." Watch what happens. Her guard drops. Her eyes soften. The tension in her shoulders dissolves. Because you just told her she's not invisible, and you didn't fear her intensity. You honored it. This is where Stoicism gives this compliment even more depth. Seneca once wrote, "Fire tests gold. Suffering tests brave men." A woman's fire, her passion, her emotion, her resilience, is her gold. And when you see it, appreciate it, and call it out, she begins to identify you as the man strong enough to handle her truth. A man who doesn't shrink from her intensity. A man who doesn't get overwhelmed by her emotions. A man who respects her fire without trying to control it. And here's the hidden power. When a woman feels that you see the fire inside her, she starts showing you more of it. She becomes more real, more raw, more passionate. She doesn't hold back. And that vulnerability creates emotional gravity, the kind of attachment that makes her crave your presence, your voice, your opinion, your approval. Use this compliment when she reveals passion, intensity, or emotion, the parts of herself she usually hides. Reflect her fire back to her. Tell her it doesn't scare you. Because when a woman feels her power is seen and welcomed, she becomes drawn to the man who sees it. 4. I love how your mind works. Most men compete for a woman's attention on the shallow battlefield. Looks, status, bravado, charm. But the men who leave a lasting imprint, the men she thinks about at 2 a.m. when she can't sleep, they don't go for her beauty first. They go for her mind. And that's why this compliment carries so much power. When you look at a woman and say, I love how your mind works, you aren't admiring her appearance. You're admiring the engine behind everything she says, feels, and believes. You are reaching past the surface and touching her core intelligence, intuition, and worldview. This compliment, it hits her differently because women live in their minds more than men realize. They analyze, observe, connect dots, feel everything deeply, and think in layers. But they rarely feel appreciated for it. Most guys reduce them to their aesthetics, their behavior, or the roles they play. So when a man recognizes her intellectual beauty, the way she thinks, processes, imagines, or expresses ideas, she feels a kind of admiration she barely knew she craved. Psychologically, this compliment activates her need for emotional significance. A woman wants to feel interesting, not just attractive. She wants to feel like her thoughts matter, not just her curves. She wants to feel like her voice isn't just heard, but absorbed. I love how your mind works. Tells her that her intelligence impacts you, that you value the way she thinks, not just the things she says. And that is one of the fastest ways to bond with her on a deeper level. Picture this scene. She makes a sharp observation no one else noticed. She tells you a theory, a belief, a story that reveals how she processes life. She answers something with unexpected depth. You pause, genuinely pause, and you say, I love how your mind works. Watch her reaction, a small smile, a slight blush, the way her eyes shift from guarded to open, because you didn't compliment her for something she was born with. You complimented her for something she shaped, something she's proud of but doesn't flaunt. Now here's the Stoic dimension. Marcus Aurelius wrote, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. A woman whose thoughts you value becomes dyed with the color of your presence. She starts thinking about you differently, not as a man who wants her, but as a man who understands her. That creates a psychological shift. When a woman feels mentally understood, physical attraction becomes inevitable, because desire for women begins in the mind, not the body. And here's the deeper truth. When you admire her mind, she sees you as someone she can open up to intellectually and emotionally. She'll tell you more. She'll trust you more. She'll express opinions she hides from others, because you've shown her that her inner world is safe in your presence. And for a woman, that safety is irresistible. Use this compliment when she expresses intelligence, perspective, creativity, or depth. Don't say it casually. Say it with intention. When a woman feels you're attracted to her mind, she begins craving your presence with her entire being. 5. You make chaos look beautiful. There are some women who look composed on the outside but carry storms inside their chest. Storms made of overthinking, deep feeling, sensitivity, passion, and contradictions they can't always control. They try to hide it because the world punishes emotional intensity. People call them too much, too dramatic, too emotional. They learn to tone down their nature just to survive. But the truth is that very chaos, the fire, the passion, the unpredictable emotional waves, is the essence of raw feminine energy. And when you look at her with calm, masculine certainty and say, you make chaos look beautiful, you validate the part of her she's been taught to be ashamed of. This compliment is powerful because it penetrates her deepest insecurity. Every woman has moments where she feels overwhelmed by her own feelings. She worries that her emotions are a burden. She fears she is too intense for a man to handle. But you're telling her the opposite. You're telling her that her emotional complexity doesn't scare you. It attracts you. It intrigues you. It creates a beauty that isn't found in perfection, but in depth. Psychologically, this taps directly into feminine self-expression. Women were made to feel. They experience life through emotional movement. Highs, lows, doubts, bursts of passion, impulses, dreams, fears. Most men shut down when faced with a woman's full emotional range. They get overwhelmed, defensive, distant. But a man who can stand still while she's in motion, a man who can look at her intensity with admiration instead of fear, that man becomes unforgettable. Imagine this moment. She's opening up to you. Maybe she's ranting, maybe she's passionate, maybe her emotions are spilling out faster than she can catch them. She apologizes for rambling or for being a mess. She says, "Sorry, I don't even know what I'm saying." Most guys would say something dismissive like, "It's fine," but you don't. You hold the space. You look at her grounded and say, "You make chaos look beautiful." Her breath catches, her eyes soften, because you didn't minimize her emotions. You appreciated them. You saw beauty where others saw inconvenience. This is where Stoic philosophy connects deeply. Epictetus said, "No great thing is created suddenly." A woman's depth, her emotional world, her intensity, her fire is a great thing. It's complex, layered, evolving, and the man who sees the beauty in that complexity rises above ordinary men who fear it. You're not praising her for being chaotic, you're praising her for carrying her chaos with grace, passion, and authenticity. That compliment wraps her intensity in acceptance, something she rarely receives. And here's the hidden truth. When a woman feels her emotions are safe with you, she develops a bond she can't break. She stops performing, she stops shrinking, she shows you her real self, the raw, unfiltered feminine. And once she opens that side of herself to you, her attachment deepens in ways she can't explain. Use this compliment when she's emotional, passionate, expressive, or vulnerable. Don't try to calm her, appreciate her. When you tell a woman she makes chaos look beautiful, you become the one man she can be fully herself around, and that makes your presence irresistible. 6. You don't pretend. I respect that. There's a moment in every connection with a woman when you see her truth slip through. The real her, not the polished version she presents to the world. Maybe it's the way she admits she's tired of pretending to be strong. Maybe it's the way she laughs without filtering herself. Maybe it's the way she tells you something vulnerable, something she didn't plan to share. Most men miss that moment. They overlook it, or worse, they judge it. But when you look at her, steady and present, and you say the words, "You don't pretend, I respect that," you validate one of the deepest parts of her identity, her authenticity. Women live under constant pressure to perform. They feel they must look perfect, act perfect, and maintain a flawless emotional image just to be accepted. They pretend to be confident when they feel insecure. They pretend to be independent when they're craving support. They pretend to be okay when they're breaking on the inside. So when a man acknowledges her realness, the version she hides, she feels something she rarely experiences. Relief. Relief that she doesn't have to act. Relief that she doesn't need to impress you. Relief that her truth, her flaws, her softness, her honesty are enough. Psychologically, this compliment hits the feminine need for emotional safety. A woman opens up only when she feels she won't be judged. When you tell her you respect her authenticity, you give her permission to be unfiltered. And that is when connection deepens. Women don't bond through perfection. They bond through vulnerability. And a woman becomes attached to the man who makes her feel safe enough to drop the mask. Now imagine this moment. She admits something real, maybe something from her past, maybe something she struggles with, maybe something raw. She expects the usual reactions, awkward silence, dismissive comfort, or a quick subject change. Instead, you hold eye contact and say, "You don't pretend, I respect that." Watch how her energy changes, her shoulders relax, her eyes soften. She feels seen, not judged. She feels valued, not evaluated. Because authenticity is rare, and you just told her you recognize it. Stoic philosophy reinforces this truth. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Authenticity is a virtue, and most people fear it. When you acknowledge her honesty, you position yourself as a man who values truth over image, realness over appearance. And that kind of man stands out in a world full of masks. Here's the hidden power. Once she feels you respect her authenticity, she will give you more of it. More real thoughts, more real emotions, more real connection. She will trust you with the parts of herself she hides from everyone else. And that kind of emotional access isn't given lightly. It's given only to the man she feels safe with. Use this compliment when she opens up, reveals a flaw, admits something vulnerable, or acts genuinely instead of performing. Tell her that you respect her realness, and she will begin to crave the one man she doesn't have to pretend with. 7. You're stronger than you think. Most women carry a strength they don't acknowledge, a strength they've built quietly, through years of enduring pressure, heartbreak, expectations, disappointments, and responsibilities that nobody ever thanks them for. They've survived situations that would have broken weaker people. They've held households together, held emotional worlds together, held themselves together even on the days they wanted to fall apart. But because their strength is emotional, not physical, the world rarely recognizes it. And that's why this compliment hits her harder than almost any other. When you look at her and say, "You're stronger than you think," you're telling her you see the battles she fought silently, and you respect her for enduring them. This compliment lands deeply because it speaks to the exact place where women doubt themselves the most. She may look confident, she may appear put together, she may laugh loudly and smile brightly, but inside, she often questions her worth, her resilience, and her ability to keep going. Women often believe they must remain composed, calm, and invulnerable to prove they're capable. They downplay their pain, they minimize their effort, they rarely recognize how powerful they truly are. So when a man calls out the strength she doesn't even see in herself, he awakens something inside her that feels both emotional and validating. Psychologically, this compliment touches a core feminine need, the desire to feel recognized, not just appreciated. Women don't want pity, they don't want rescuing. They want to feel understood, supported, seen for their internal resilience, not just their external softness. "You're stronger than you think" acknowledges her struggle without belittling it. It honors her without putting her on a pedestal. It tells her you see both her vulnerability and her power, and you respect both. Picture this moment. She's opening up to you about something heavy, maybe stress, fear, disappointment, or a challenge she's facing. She says she's tired. She says she feels like she's not doing enough. She says she worries she's failing. A weaker man would offer cliches like "you'll be fine" or "don't worry." But you listen. You stay calm. And then you tell her gently but firmly, "You're stronger than you think." Her breath slows. Her eyes shift. She feels grounded by your presence because you didn't dismiss her emotions. You reflected her strength back to her. You reminded her of what she forgot. This is where Stoic philosophy aligns perfectly. Seneca wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body." Women live that every day. Their emotional labor, their quiet endurance, their constant balancing of expectations. These difficulties forge a strength no one sees. But you saw it, and by acknowledging it, you position yourself as the rare man who recognizes her inner resilience. Here's the hidden power. When a woman feels you believe in her strength, she begins believing in you. She sees you as a grounding force, a man who lifts her without trying to fix her, a man who brings clarity where she brings emotion. That balance makes her feel safe, and desire grows in safety. Use this compliment when she opens up, doubts herself, or faces something challenging. Speak it with calm certainty. When a woman feels you recognize her resilience, she begins to anchor her emotions to your presence. And that emotional bond becomes magnetic. 8. You have no idea how captivating you are. There is a difference between a woman who is pretty and a woman who is captivating. Pretty women turn heads. Captivating women turn minds. They linger, they imprint, they stay with you long after the conversation ends. And the truth is, most women don't see themselves as captivating because the world has conditioned them to focus on flaws, comparison, and insecurity. So when you look at her with calm, grounded certainty and say, "You have no idea how captivating you are giving her something far more powerful than a compliment. You are giving her a truth she never allowed herself to believe. This compliment works because it hits the deepest layer of feminine desire, to feel spellbinding, not just beautiful, not just cute, captivating. A woman wants to feel like there is something about her that pulls a man in without her trying, something she wasn't taught, something she didn't manufacture, something natural, something magnetic. Most men focus on surface beauty because they don't have the perceptiveness to recognize feminine energy. But the man who speaks to that energy, her presence, her aura, her expression, her vibe, immediately separates himself from the crowd. Psychologically, this compliment touches the part of her that feels unseen. Women often underestimate their own allure. They focus on what's wrong, the flaw, the insecurity, the imperfection. They think their effect on men comes from external appearance alone. So when you tell her she's captivating, you're shifting her self-perception. You're telling her she has a pull, a natural feminine gravity she didn't realize she possessed. And that realization is intoxicating. Imagine this scene. She's talking without trying to impress you. She laughs naturally, gestures naturally, expresses her thoughts without calculation. And you're observing the way she lights up when she talks about something she loves, the way her eyes brighten when she's excited, the way she leans in when she's comfortable. Most men wouldn't notice any of this, but you do. And you tell her you have no idea how captivating you are. Watch her reaction, a pause, a breath, a moment where she doesn't know how to respond, because you didn't compliment her for something obvious. You complimented her for something she didn't even realize she was showing. And here's where Stoicism enriches the meaning of this compliment. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When you tell her she's captivating, you're changing the color of her thoughts. You're dyeing her mind with the belief that her presence has impact. That belief makes her confident, softer, more feminine, more expressive. And the man who awakens that in her becomes the man she naturally gravitates toward. Here's the hidden power. When a woman feels captivating in your presence, she becomes more captivating. She starts leaning into her feminine pull. She becomes more vulnerable, more playful, more radiantly herself. She begins craving your attention not because she needs validation, but because you bring out her truest, most magnetic self. Use this compliment when she shows natural charm or presence without trying, when she's simply being herself, unfiltered and expressive. Tell her she's captivating, and she'll associate that captivating feeling with you. 9. There's something rare about you. Every woman, no matter how confident she seems, fears the same thing: being ordinary, being forgettable, being one more face in a man's memory. It's not vanity, it's biology. Women want to feel chosen, not for convenience, not for beauty alone, but because something inside them stands out. Something in their essence is unique, irreplaceable, naturally magnetic. So when you look at her, steady and sincere, and say, "There's something rare about you," you strike directly at the heart of her feminine identity. You're telling her she's not common, she's not typical, she's not just another woman, she is rare, and rarity creates value. This compliment works because it taps into the psychological principle of scarcity, the idea that the less common something is, the more desirable it becomes. But here you aren't using scarcity to manipulate. You're using it to highlight her uniqueness, her depth, her individuality. Women spend their entire lives being compared to other women, to filtered images, to societal standards. They are told to fit in, to behave, to be acceptable. Rare tells her the opposite. Rare says she breaks the mold, and that changes everything. Psychologically, this compliment hits her sense of identity. It makes her reflect inward. What did he see in me? What makes me rare to him? What do I bring into his world that other women don't? The moment she asks those questions, she begins attaching emotional significance to you. Because now you're not just observing her, you're defining her in a way that elevates her above the rest. Imagine this scenario. She does something small but telling. Maybe she reacts with empathy. Maybe she expresses genuine curiosity. Maybe she shows maturity, depth, or a spark of personality you don't see often in others. Most men would ignore it, but you see it clearly. You pause and say, "There's something rare about you." She freezes, not because she doubts your words, but because you just named a feeling she's carried her whole life but never articulated. You saw her uniqueness, and you respected it. Now let's bring in the Stoic perspective. Epictetus said, "Know first who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly." This compliment aligns perfectly with that wisdom. When a woman feels you see something rare in her, she starts living up to that identity. She becomes more expressive, more confident, more open, more aligned with her truest self. She steps into the version of herself she wishes the world would recognize. You give her a mirror, not of what is common, but of what is exceptional. And here's the hidden power. Once she believes she possesses something rare, she will naturally invest more emotional energy in the man who first saw it. Because rarity demands protection. Rarity demands meaning. Rarity demands connection. She begins wanting you in a way she can't explain, because you're no longer just a man in her life. You're the man who saw the part of her she always hoped someone would notice. Use this compliment when she reveals depth, kindness, emotional maturity, or a unique spark in her personality. Rare is not about her looks. It's about her essence. And once you acknowledge that essence, she begins to crave the man who recognized it. 10. I'm better around you. There's a kind of compliment a woman almost never hears from men. Not because it's weak, but because it requires a level of self-awareness most men don't have. It's the compliment that doesn't worship her, doesn't pedestalize her, doesn't place you beneath her, but instead reveals something rare, the effect she has on your masculine presence. When you look at her, calm, grounded, unapologetically masculine, and you say, "I'm better around you," something shifts in her. Not because you sound needy, but because you sound real. You're admitting that she awakens a version of you that you like. A version of you that feels clearer, sharper, more alive, more grounded. And women crave that. They crave being the source of a man's elevated self. This compliment works because it taps into a powerful feminine instinct, the desire to inspire the right man, not to control him, not to fix him, but to amplify him. Women are naturally nurturing. Their presence softens sharp edges, quiets internal storms, and creates emotional spaces where men feel more centered without losing their strength. "I'm better around you" tells her she brings out something noble in you, something focused, something grounded, something powerful, and that is a compliment far deeper than anything about her beauty. Psychologically, this phrase touches a core feminine desire to feel impactful. Women want to feel like their presence matters, not just their looks. They want to feel like they add value to your life on an emotional, psychological, and spiritual level. When you tell her you're better around her, you're telling her that her energy enhances your masculinity, and that creates a bond that goes beyond attraction. Because now she's not just a woman you like, she's a woman who influences you. Imagine this moment. You're together, maybe sitting in a car, maybe walking, maybe talking late at night. You notice something subtle, the way your thoughts become calmer around her, the way your stress fades, the way you speak slower and clearer. You take a breath and say casually, "I'm better around you." She won't know how to respond at first. Her chest will tighten, her eyes will shift, because you didn't hand her your weakness, you handed her your truth. You showed her that her presence affects you without making you dependent on it. And that's exactly the balance women find irresistible. Now let's bring in the Stoics. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When you tell a woman you're better around her, you're telling her that her presence colors your thoughts in a way that strengthens you. You're demonstrating emotional intelligence, not emotional dependence. You're revealing a kind of vulnerability that comes from self-mastery, not insecurity. And here's the deeper truth. A woman becomes emotionally attached to the man whose life she feels she improves. It makes her feel meaningful. It makes her feel chosen. It makes her feel like she holds a place in your world no one else does. You become the man she wants to pour into, invest in, and support, because she sees that you grow around her, not wilt. Use this compliment when you genuinely feel grounded, calm, or uplifted around her. Say it with quiet confidence, not softness. When a woman hears that her presence makes you better, she begins craving the man who becomes more powerful in her company. If this video sharpened your understanding of women, masculinity, or emotional influence, drop one phrase in the comments so I know you're part of the brotherhood. Power in words. Because a man who understands the power of his words becomes impossible to forget. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. This channel is where men evolve, sharpen their minds, and rise above the noise. Welcome to the brotherhood. We're just getting started.